Hello there, geeks and gamers, I'm MarcTheCyborg, and today I'm going to tell you about a game that I've been playing which I think you might enjoy. So without further ado... In October 2010, Platinum Games released Vanquish for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. While the game's performance on those consoles was poor, the core design of the game was fantastic, and for the last decade I've always cited it as my #1 game which never got a sequel, but totally deserves one. In May 2017, Vanquish was ported to Steam, and what used to be a great game which was severely hampered by being too ambitious for the hardware it was on, turned into one of the best third-person shooters of all time. On February 18th, it's finally coming to consoles which can handle it, and is being bundled with the original Bayonetta at that. While I'm a dyed-in-the-wool PC Master Race advocate, to the point that me preaching that the rest of the Geeks and Gamers staff should acquire gaming PCs is becoming something of a meme in our group chat, I primarily want good games to be available on as many platforms as possible, and Vanquish, when running at a locked 60 frames per second or above, is a damn good game. Directed by Shinji Mikami, who famously directed the original Resident Evil and one of my Desert Island games, Resident Evil 4, Vanquish is at its core a stop-and-pop third-person shooter, akin to Gears of War. What separates it from, and if you ask me makes it far more interesting than Gears of War, is that your character, Sam Gideon, is wearing a suit of cybernetic armor which allows him to use a rocket engine to do a boosted knee or body slide along the ground at shockingly fast speeds. This mechanic is so much fun to use it can't be understated. In fact, it's so much fun that I'm shocked more games haven't copied it. Warframe is the only one which even comes to mind at all, and my Ontario, Canada peeps at Digital Extreme certainly made the locomotion in their game feel distinct from Vanquish. Unlike Warframe, there's no jumping, gliding, or even sprinting in Vanquish, so to move between cover, you will primarily use the aforementioned slide mechanic. Use of the boost is mediated by a heat gauge, which when empty puts you into a temporary cooldown mode which disables all the powers of your suit. If this happens when you're out of cover, the default movement speed is extremely slow, so you essentially become a sitting duck. This necessitates strategic use of the boost and stops the game from becoming too easy. Rocket sliding isn't the only power your suit has. During a boost, Sam moves very fast, which would make it very difficult to accurately aim for even mouse keyboard players like myself. Luckily, if you aim or fire your weapon during a boost, the game kicks into slow motion, allowing you to pull off some seriously action movie tier feats. It is possible to activate slow motion while stationary as well, but this will drain your heat gauge, and if you spend too much time in one spot, you're gonna want to have the ability to boost away, so personally I rarely use this skill. Finally, you have the ability to pull off an extremely impressive looking rocket flip kick when you combine a boost with a melee attack. This kills most standard enemies in one hit, but also immediately puts you into cooldown mode, so if you use this attack in a poorly defended position, you'll have a lot of trouble getting to a safe spot to recover your suit's temperature. There are several weapons in the game which vary from the standard assault rifle, shotgun, sniper rifle, heavy machine gun variety, to the more interesting but harder to use effectively weapons like the disc launcher or the LFE gun. Personally, I tended to stick with the standard fare, but there are more unique options in the event that you like to live dangerously.
I also like to live dangerously.
The weapon upgrade system in the game is very unique. How it works is that when you pick up a weapon you're already holding, it refills your ammo. However, if the weapon you're holding has full ammo, picking up that same weapon levels it up, by either making it more powerful or increasing the amount of ammo you can carry for it. This has the interesting effect of encouraging you to save ammo on a weapon you really like, which by extension make you experiment with other weapons. I found I'd often go into an area deciding, I'm going to use my assault rifle here, so that if I find an extra heavy machine gun or armor-piercing pistol, I'll be able to make those weapons more useful later. And oh my, the armor-piercing pistol is useful. In a sense, creating self-imposed restrictions on your loadout makes things slightly more difficult in the short term, but allows you to become more powerful in the long term. It's a cool system which makes your heart pound when you're in a tough situation trying to use a weapon which is not ideally suited for it, and then having to make the decision to swap to a powerful weapon you were saving, which will limit your ability to make it more powerful had you held out. On the normal difficulty, checkpoints in the game are frequent, but when you die, your currently equipped weapon rolls back one level upgrade. But it caps off at one downgrade per checkpoint, so you don't have to worry about losing all of your upgrade progress if one area in particular is giving you trouble. There are several ways in which you can acquire new weapons. They're sometimes dropped by enemies, found in green supply boxes which give you one at random, as well as silver drop pods which give you a selected choice. The coolest way to earn a weapon, however, is to act as a field medic. Most areas in the game see you backing up several other soldiers, none with a suit of high-tech DARPA armor like your own, and they will often end up getting downed by enemies. While most games incentivize you to revive fireteam members by getting them back on their feet to provide backup, Sam does most of the heavy lifting during the firefight, so this would be an inconsequential benefit. Instead, reviving a downed teammate spawns a new weapon for Sam. Unlike the supply boxes or drop pods, however, these teammates can die if you don't get to them in time. At several points, I found myself spotting a green cross in the distance, then boosting across the entire level to save him, as if my own life depended on it, simply to get a random chance at a useful weapon upgrade. The visuals in Vanquish have aged very well. As I touched on earlier, Platinum Games' eyes may have been too big for their stomach when they designed this game for Xbox 360 and PS3, but on a halfway decent PC, or presumably in the upcoming PS4 and Xbox One ports, Vanquish is absolutely loaded with eye candy. There are tons of cool particle and glow effects, with the cooldown mode animation creating an amazing looking haze of extreme heat emanating from Sam's back, satisfying explosions, and liberal use of motion blur effects during the boost, which really sell the sensation of speed. The art direction is also quite cool. While the environments have the tendency to look quite similar, with the entire game taking place in what is essentially one long mission in one location, the location in question is incredibly cool to look at. Vanquish takes place on a type of theoretical space station called an O'Neill cylinder, named after it was conceptualized by physicist Gerard O'Neill in 1976. It's essentially a cylindrical ring world which spins, creating gravity on the internal aspect of it. This concept has been used in several science fiction properties like Elysium, The Expanse, and very notably the Halo games, but Vanquish executes it in a way which puts me in awe every time I get a good look at one of its vistas. For all its amazing qualities, Vanquish is not a perfect game. Every so often there are QuickTime events which definitely aren't friendly to the mouse keyboard players amongst us. How the hell does anyone tap E that fast? It certainly lacks enemy variety, with the majority of the opponents in the game being generic looking robots. The aforementioned single location, while stunning, can also be boiled down to futuristic urban warfare, with a few variations like time of day. And as good as the gameplay in the game is, it also doesn't really do anything other than provide a series of gunfights, and the game isn't overly long either. The short length might be a good thing, as the story and characters are nothing to write home about at all, and it's during the cinematics that the normally fantastic visuals really show their decade-old roots. While I had the game running in 1440p at a locked 165 frames per second without a single noticeable frame drop, the cinematics are stuck in low-resolution 30 frames a second, as they were pre-rendered for mid-2000s console hardware. However, the QuickTime events aren't very frequent, the level design makes those generic enemies fun to fight, the location which is there looks great, and the combat is so much fun I never found myself wanting more gameplay variety. It's why for 10 years now I've been hoping Vanquish would get a sequel, and hopefully this video will help spread the word about what an underappreciated gem this game is. As while Vanquish is incredible, a sequel could really take the series, and by extension, maybe even the whole third-person shooter genre, to the next level. So if you enjoy shooters and you've got a PC capable of running a game from 2010, or can wait until February 18th to play it on your PS4 or Xbox One, give Vanquish a shot and it will likely surprise you with its unbridled awesomeness. This one was a bit longer than I intended, but if you can't tell, I'm a huge fan of Vanquish. With that said, never feel like you have to play one of the games I look at in these videos. Unlike the mainstream games media, Geeks and Gamers isn't sponsored by any game publishers, so all of the games I praise on this series are coming from the heart, and much more than wanting you to check out games which I love, I want you to be a smart and aware consumer. Watch videos like this, look up other reviews to get second opinions, try to buy games on sale, and work on that backlog. Games are about having fun, not going into debt because you feel the need to
just consume product and then get excited for next products.
With all that said, for Geeks and Gamers, I'm MarcTheCyborg, and you are beautiful. Quick side note for fans of Nier Automata who took the time to get ending Route E. Apparently it's not the first time Platinum has made a shooting gallery minigame for their ending credits. Though be warned, I was paying close attention, and real-life Bayonetta waifu Ikumi Nakamura was not amongst them, even though she worked at Platinum at the time.